Start recording. Yeah. So we are building this app basically. It's a to-do app. So I'm going to be showing us. We are going to be using Firebase to handle authentic as our back-end service. So we use it to handle authentication and also this is the Firebase what's it called console that we'll be using. So these are like the existing users. So now once I sign up with this data, we should see a new user here with the name Kausa, right? So take notice of this. There's no cursor here, so let's register with this user. Okay, there's an error. I don't know what the error is. Skip the frame. I think my this is on the draw. On the draw. So this is basically like the dashboard, the homepage you are seeing, but we are not going to be using this homepage. We'll be making it better. So when we check our back end here, let's just refresh to see our new user added. So our new user is added, which is Kausa. Then she registered on the 6th of March 2023, and this is her user ID. So now let us add a new task. So our new task is going to be, I think the video recorder is making my this thing slow. So let's give it the name of the task. So let's make it happy birthday task. So let's just generate a random message. Let's say happy. What is this? So this is going to be like a tax, but then let's just assume that this is a tax, right? Happy birthday, Kausa. Then my PC is lagging because of the video recorder, I guess. So we can just create the tax. Then the tax has been created. We can see it down here. Pay attention that this app is like last year built it, so all of these things are happening. But then we'll be making it better, we'll be improving this. So you can see our tax has been created here, which is what we go back to the home screen. Happy birthday, Kausa. Then this other page now holds the list of tasks that have been completed. So these are list of tasks that has been completed when you create them. All of these things are coming from the back end. I'm just going to go back to like the home page. So we can just click, we can just mark this task as done. So to do that, you just swipe. You can either from the right or from the left. Okay, so this task has been marked as done. So we can come here to find the task that has been done. So this is, we can see that cursor has been added to like the completed task page. So basically this is what we'll be building, but then we'll be making it better. So I'm going to go ahead and off this guy here because I don't want to emulate, or we'll be using the iOS going forward. So that's about that. Before we start, I want to know how many people are coding alongside. How many people will be coding alongside? Because we are going to be doing like, it's just going to be like a coding section. So how many people will be coding so that I can know how to manage my speed? You can just raise your hand to know how many people will be coding. So I will just open the queue to see so that I can manage my speed.
Sorry, sir, I came a bit late, so I want to code along, but I don't know the situation.
No, we are
Is
yet
it
to
too
start.
much?
I'm just showing us what is happening, what we are going to be doing. We are yet to start. So I think I have 7 hands. Out of how many people? 32. We are just starting. Please just raise your hand. Don't unmute yourself.
Okay,
Just raise
thank
your
you.
hand. Yeah. If you're going to be following along, raise your hand. Okay, I think we have 9 hands. Okay. So I'll try to manage my speed as possible. Let me see how my processor is running. So first things first, let's create a new app. Let's create a new project. So to create a new project, you go to your Android Studio. For those of us, I don't know how many people are using Android Studio, and also you go to your Android Studio file. If you have a project open already, go to File, go to New Flutter Project. And for those of us using Xcode, you can use the terminal command, which is Flutter create, then your project name, then you navigate to the project directory. So let's call this tax management app tax. Or we can just say GDSC underscore SSA underscore tax management app. So we create. So we'll be incorporating some of this. No, not this guy. Okay, I had like a design I wanted to show us, but then it's not here. So we'll be incorporating some of one design like that to what we are having currently to make it better. Just okay. I'm using this Windows. So I will just terminate the previous projects, disconnecting it from this place. So how many of us were able to do the plus and minus thing on the counter app from last week? No, I can't see because I can't see our screen, so I don't know how many people were able to do it. Yeah, so I'm going to debug this particular app so that we can see the changes in real time. You can still loading up. From the look of things, maybe I may need to like leave this call and join again. Let me try to see if this guy is still running. I'm trying to see if my Android emulator is still running so that I can just kill that guy because yeah, so this should fix it. Yes, so now let me debug this. So while this is running, let me clean up this code please and create some folders. So for this particular project, we will not be following any architecture or pattern. We'll just be building so that we can see and learn how to maneuver widgets and all these things. First things first, I will create like let's see the auth page. Auth. So in our auth folder, we can create a new file, call it sign up that. Then we can create our that file, name it sign in dot. You can create our splash screen as well. Alright, so this guy is still loading up. I want it to be done so that we can see the changes in real time. So guys, I'm still here. I'm just waiting for this to be done loading. If you have any question from like last week or anything, you can ask now, since this guy is still loading up. So Mubarak, I can't see the screen. Maybe you can take anybody with question, like ask them the question, and if I can answer, I'll answer. While this is loading. If you have any question or you have any challenge you want to ask questions regarding the particular challenge, you can ask them now. Mubarak, are you there?
I'm with you.
Okay. Normally, I would have continued building, but then I want everybody to see how this is going, so I can make changes and all. Then I will just see. You just see the changes, and you'll be wondering how the changes came about and how it is happening. My PC is lagging because I am recording and I had two emulator, one emulator and one simulator running at the same time, and I have Android Studio running. Yeah, so we have our counter app ready. So let's confirm to see it's working as it is supposed. So first thing we are going to be doing is creating a splash screen for our tax management app. So I would suggest the name of the app should be GDSC TMA. So that's going to be what is going to be on the splash screen. So we are going to be getting rid of this thing. Splash screen is that first screen you see when your app loads up. So that is what a splash screen is. So to get rid of this particular screen, we can just come here and copy this guy out, copy this guy out, just cut it out, Control X, and let's take it to our splash screen. So don't forget to import packages. Let's touch material.dat because we want to use the material package in here. So this is no longer going to be our home page, but we are going to be changing it to something else. You can just refactor this, highlight, and then refactor. Refactoring will change this home page everywhere it is being called, so we will change it to something else. So let's just call it splash screen. Splash screen. And we're having an error here. What is the error? I think that refactor was supposed to change this guy to splash screen. I don't know why it is not doing it. So okay, because it is not imported. So if you have this error, just highlight, like what is it called, levitate over it, or and it will bring out a possible solution, which is importing that screen. So I have just imported that. Then we can Ctrl S to save and update. Now we are not supposed to see any change because we've not made any change. Basically, we just removed the page from the main.dat file to like another file. So here is where the refactoring will come in now. We don't need this title anymore, so we are going to be removing it from here, from the constructor. And okay, it's saying that it is expecting a title. Remove it from here. Anything you're not understanding, just write it down. Maybe after the whole session, I can just take your question. It is expecting this guy, remove this guy as well from here. And it is expecting this guy, we can just remove this guy from here. Right now, we don't need the app bar anymore because all we need is a splash screen. So we remove the app bar. And I think we fixed one error and this app bar should be gone. Okay, hot reload we know, hot restart we know, so hot reload we know, so let's use hot restart. We made serious changes to it, so the hot restart should fix. Yep, so this is now what we have. For our splash screen as well, we don't need this button and we don't need this text, we need our own custom text. And we can also remove this debug here. So let's remove the debug. To remove the debug, we go back to our main.dat, and on this, in the material app, we'll just write debug show check banner, make it false instead of true, because by default it is true. So this should remove this guy for us. Yep, we're making progress. So splash. So on our splash screen as well, we don't want this. We don't want the counter anymore. Let's remove the counter guy. Ctrl S. Yep, that guy is gone. And as well, we don't need the button, right? So let's remove the button. Ctrl Z. Okay, this is the comments. Let's remove. So we can basically just come here and do show action, then remove this guy. You can just remove this guy, then Ctrl S. The button should be gone. Yep, it's gone. So as well, we don't need the column because we are not stacking anything. This is just going to be our splash screen. Like you see from the other splash screen which I did, the animation, the pixma was, it's animated on the screen. It goes like from small to big and all of that. We will not be doing that here. We'll just have like a very stagnant screen. It's just going to be displaying the name of the app. So let's remove our column as well. We can just, the same thing I did, show context action, then remove this widget. It removes the what's it called for us. So what we are left with is our center widget. So center widget helps you wrap the child, like helps you put the child in the center of your screen or in the center of the parent. So currently we are just using scaffold as its parent, then a center widget. So anything that is going to be the child of the center widget is going to be at the center of the scaffold. So that is why we are having this guy at the center of our screen. So we can rename this now because this is going to be the name of our app, which is GDSC management. Okay, tax management app. So Control S. Yep. So here we have it. So let's give this a little design. No. So to design this, I don't have any design in my head, but then let's just come up with something. So we are going to be using blue and white. Let's just use blue and white all through. So to do that, we can just text style. So text style now will help you what's it called? Will help you style your text. So you write text style, then text style. So let's increase the width of the text and the size of the text. So we can just say font size first. Font size, let's say like 30. Yep, this is fine. Let's change the color. Let's change this to colors dots. Not cheap. Colors dots blue. Yep, it is good enough. It is nice. I don't know. So let's increase the font width. So let's say font width dot bold. Let's see what we have. Yeah, this is nice. But then if you don't like this blue, let's say you want it to be darker, you can just come and put an array here, then you put in your 9, you put in any amount you want. Okay, it's giving me an error. It's saying color palettes, color and color swatch cannot be. Okay. So let's see what we can use for this guy. The shade of, let's say shade of 900. You still can't use this here. Why is that? Okay, because it's a const, right? So when it is a constant, you cannot make any radical changes. So take note of that. Yep, so we are having a darker shade now. Let's drop it to like 800. Yeah, so this is our splash screen. So now how do we go from this place to a new screen? That is where we are going to be using our timer widgets. So timer helps you place a particular time, then it takes in an anonymous function and all of that. So let's restart our app. So here we are. Now let's create our onboarding screen from this screen to like another screen. So let's create another screen first so that we can navigate from this screen to like the onboarding screen, which is going to be, let's just say we're creating a new document, we're creating a new directory. Let's name it. We are supposed to use like an onboarding that's going to be having animation and all of that. But then as a beginner, let's do very basic things so that you can understand before going to animation controllers and all of that. So we're going to be using a very simple onboarding screen. It's just going to be like pages. You just be navigating from one page to the other. So for this tax management, I don't have like any design in head, so we'll just be building basically whatever comes to mind. So this app is going to be like a hospital tax management app. So we're doing onboarding. So this is a new directory, and we're going to be creating that file. So let's just name it screen 1. But that's, excuse me, screen 2 dot that, and screen 3 dot that. Alright, so we have our 3 onboarding screens ready. So let's make this show something. What's okay, just separate the material. So our onboarding screen is going to be a stateless screen because it's not going to be changing, it's not going to be mutable, we're not going to be updating any data, so we're going to be using the stateless widget. So we can just name it onboarding 1, onboarding 1. This is going to be a placeholder. Let's just make it a scaffold instead of a placeholder. Scaffold, and we let it have a body of. So scaffold takes in a body instead of a child. So a body we have like let's use the center widget as well. Then we pass in a text widget as a child. So let's just name this screen 1. Yep. So I can just you can just basically copy all of this thing, go to your second screen, place it there, but then you will rename it. So we can just refactor and rename this guy to onboarding 2. Do the same thing for onboarding 3. Onboarding 3. Yep. So let's save. Yet we are still going to be seeing the same thing because we have not made any changes yet. But then if we want to see any of these screens, okay, this guy still has an onboarding screen 2. Let's do onboarding screen 2, onboarding screen 3. So if we want to see any of this screen, we can just come to our mail.dat and change the home page from being our splash screen to our onboarding screen 1 and 2 and 3. Onboarding screen 1, then it automatically imports it. So we see we are in our onboarding screen 1. We can go to our onboarding screen 2. Oh, it has to import onboarding screen 2. Yep. Don't forget to import onboarding screen 2. Now we have onboarding screen 2 here. Onboarding screen 3. You can also import that. So we have onboarding screen 3 here. So we see all of the 3 screens we have created. But then let's go back to the splash screen because we want the splash screen to navigate automatically from the splash screen to our onboarding screen. So we are going to say we are back at our splash screen. So now we're going to be creating the timer that lets this screen load for like, let's say how many seconds, then it navigates to the onboarding screen. Go back to our auth page. So here is where the whole trick happened. We are no longer using this guy, so we're removing them. Please, is anybody lost? Those of you that are coding along, are you lost? If there's anybody,
Yes, so
where are you lost?
I was trying to replicate what you have been doing. It's you are a bit kind of a bit fast, not too fast, yeah. But
Oh,
I'm understanding what is happening.
okay, sorry. Don't worry, you can always rewatch. That's why I'm recording. Any questions so far, guys? Because now you'll be
How did
entering.
you how did you import the other dat files to the
Okay,
main dat?
okay, how we do it is this. Yeah, when you go there, when you just like, let's say I want my onboarding screen here, right? I can just call it like onboarding. If you use the autocomplete, like now you see I already write ONB, right? Then I'll just click on OK. Autocomplete is going to like When you use the autocomplete, it automatically imports it for you. But then if you're not using autocomplete, let's say now I'm changing to onboarding 2. You see there's a red squeaky line here, that means there's an error. This error is simply saying the name onboarding 2 isn't a class. It's a lie, it's the class. It's just because it is not imported, so you cannot see it here. So it says, well, try correcting the name to match, or you can just import it. So you just hover upon the error. The error tells you a lot about whatever error you are having, and it gives you a possible way to fix it. So this is a possible way. You just click on what? You just click on import, and it imports it for you automatically. I guess that answers your question, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you're welcome. So, any other questions, guys, before we move into changing the splash screen? I guess there's no question. So now, in order to be able to change the splash screen, we're going to be using the timer widget to like set the specific time this guy is going to be up for. So to do that, we go into our splash screen, and right before you create your widget under the state, you can just write an overwrite. Let's see if it brings it up for me automatically. Yeah. So if you're using Android Studio, you just type init. Ini should bring you the init state. What's it called? The init state method. So this init state now helps you to set the state of your screen. It helps you to set the state of this widget. You get. So you can set the state of this widget by setting, okay, say, see, this is what I want you to do. Immediately this screen loads, do this particular thing. So this is what this is here for. So immediately this our screen loads, is going to run whatever we are going to be inputting here. Is that, I don't know if that's clear enough. I hope it is. So we can just call our timer. So to use the timer widget, we'll have to import the file as well. So it does the importing for me because I am using the autocomplete. Like I just use the autocomplete and import it. So the timer is expecting a duration and an anonymous function. So let's give it a duration. A duration is also a widget that takes in time in, like, let's say seconds, milliseconds, hours, and whatnot. So we'll see that. So you can just use the duration widgets. Duration here. So we see what the durations accept. So the duration expects you to pass in maybe like a day, hours, minutes, seconds, milliseconds, microseconds, and all of that. So after you pass in your microseconds or milliseconds, you say when this thing is done, do this next thing. You don't worry, you understand better. So let's use seconds. So let's use like 3 seconds. So let's say 3. So we have passed in 3 seconds now. So we'll now see when this 3 seconds, after 3 seconds here, navigates to the next screen. So how do we navigate to the next screen? We can just use normally here, this is what I would have done. Normally I would have just used the fat arrow notation. This is what is called the fat arrow notation to ease my stress, and like I don't know, I just like using fat arrow notation instead of using that curly bracket and all. But since I am working with you guys, we're just going to be using this. So then we can just go ahead and do. So this right here is how to navigate from one screen to the other. This is what I'm going to be doing. So to navigate from one screen to the other, you use this navigator dot of context dot push. I want to use navigator dot push. Navigator.push. So this navigator now helps you navigate from one screen or from one widget to the other. You can just hover upon it to read more, so to know more about the widget and what it accepts. So a widget that manages a set of child widgets with a stack discipline, blah 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 blah. You can go and read this in your own free time. So we want to navigate from our, what's it called, from our splash screen to our onboarding screen. So we are passing in the context, then we are passing in our route. So which route are we using now? We are going to be using the material page route. So material page route, then we pass in our builder, which is going to be accepting context. context. This thing can be a bit too much for us, but then don't worry, you use it a lot, then you get it as you go. So context, and you pass in the screen we want to go to. So our screen is going to be what? Now let's move to like the first onboarding screen. So we can just say onboarding screen 1, then we do this. This green squiggly line, you can just check it out, is definitely going to be asking you to pass in make it a const. So yeah, navigator.push, you pass in your context, you pass in your material page routes. Then when you pass in your material page route expects a context and the screen you're navigating to. So I basically just use this because I want to use it. You can, for those of us that might not be using maybe like the, what's it called, the autocomplete, you might see something like this, so you use this curly bracket. Okay, I think this should be outside again. All right, if it's supposed to be somewhere here, then I'll have to put this guy here. Let me just use my fat arrow. This solves it and make my life easier. So now if we restart this screen, this place is only going to run for 3 seconds, then it will move to our first onboarding screen. That was a mistake. So it will move to our first onboarding screen. So let's restart. What restart? So the app is going to restart. So do you see that? It moved to our first onboarding screen. Do we understand how this happened? And do we know why this happened? I'm going to guess the answer is yes. All right. So now
No, sir.
you don't understand.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
I basically just
Absolutely.
use the timer widget to set a time for the amount of, like, to set the duration of which this guy is going to show for. You know, when you load your app, when you load any app, there's a widget there's a screen you first of all see, right? Which is going to be kind of like, let's say, the logo of the app or the name of the app, and that thing will just be there for a while other things load in the background, right? So that is basically what we just did. So this is our splash. It's called the splash screen. This is our splash screen, and we just set a duration of like 3 seconds for it to load. Then when the 3 seconds is done, it just takes us to the onboarding screen, which is the screen we created here. So now, if you notice, after your splash screen is done loading, you know you cannot go back to the splash screen, right? But for hours, I can go back to the splash screen, which is very, very weird. That is because we are using a dot push. We're using a dot push, but then we can use a push replacement. So what the dot push does is it just puts the new screen on top of the first screen, or on top of the previous screen. It just follows like the stack principle. So it doesn't pop out the old screen. It just a stack. You know, when you have something at the bottom, if you put another thing on top, it just stacks on top of that screen. It just follows the stack principle. So now that is why we can go back to, like, you see, we can go back to like our previous screen, which is very, very bad. So we can just use like a push replacement instead of this guy here. So instead of dot push, we can just do push replacement. So push replacement will handle that for us. So if we restart our app now, instead of it to stack this one on top of the old screen, it's just basically going to replace the old screen with the new one. So we'll not be able to go back. You see that I cannot go back. So the only screen we are having in our stack, in our router now, is just this guy. So that is that. So let's now design our splash screen. You know, this is going to be like a hospital tax management app. So here now we'll be working with images. So before I go forward, I'll have to show us places we can read more about all of these widgets and understand them better to know how to use them. So if you want to use a widget and you don't know what it does, like you're confused on what it does and every other thing that you can access, every other method you can access in that widget, just go to like api.flutter.dev, then you search for like any widget you want to use. So right now we'll be working with like the image widgets. I can just copy this and maybe like paste it on the chat. Mubarak, you can just put this on the chat section for us. So you can just come and search for any widget at all you want to use. Maybe like you want to work with a controller, you want to work with a container, anything at all. You can just check here. So it's going to tell you everything about that widget. So now we are searching for the container. It even gives you a video. It even gives you like a short video on what the container widget is and how you can use them. So this is going to be telling us showing you even examples of how you can handle the whole thing. Yep. So this is just it. So just in case you need to know more about the particular widget, in case you even need to know more about that navigator widget, you can come here and search for it as well. So you see about the navigator class, navigator API. I think my network is okay. Yeah. So you can see more, you can read more about the navigator and how to use it properly. So that is just that about that. Yep. So now we are going to be working with images. So to work with images, I have downloaded a couple of images for us, and I think I will upload them to a drive and share the link for those of us that want to build this app along. That want to build it as we are building as well. So let me go to. I don't want to open a page that has something private in it. So let's go to downloads. I have these three images I have downloaded. I'm just going to like put this in my desktop and create a new folder for them. Let me just create a new folder, and name it images. So I'm just trying to copy all of the images I've downloaded. So please pay attention to this. So these are the images we'll be using. And to use images in Flutter, there's a way we add the images. Okay, these images are like, let me convert them to like .jpeg. They are like .web, whatever. And okay, this guy is a JPEG. This guy is not a JPEG. Let me convert this guy to a JPEG. Let me just rename it to like a JPEG. Use a JPEG. The same thing to this guy. So using images, working with images in Flutter, you have to first add them as assets. So adding them as assets, you come to your Flutter project directory, then you create a new folder, you call it assets. So in your asset folders now, you can assets. So you can have like things like maybe you want to use custom fonts, custom icons, custom images, and all of that. So you put them in your assets folder. So for us now, what we are going to be using is just images, right? So we already have our image in like a custom folder, right? I will just copy this guy and then come and paste it here. When you check, it's already in our file now, so we can have access to this guy. So that is not all. So in order to be able to even use the image as like in your Flutter project, you have to add it to your pubspec.yaml, just like how Kausara was talking about the other day. So to add them to our pubspec.yaml, you scroll down, there's a part where images has been done and all of that. You can just uncomment this guy out. Then assets / images. So normally you would have to add the images one by one. Given the fact that we have how many images, we have 3 images in our assets folder, we can just like do assets / images. So this is not, so we can just do like assets, name of our folder, name of our assets folder, assets / images / hospital.jpg, hospital1.jpg. So hospital1.jpg, then we can do dd. Can't see this guy because there's nothing like that. Hospital2, hospital3. So this now will be okay. This is a very common error, is an indentation error. When you are using the pub spec, when you are using pub spec, you have to be very careful with indentation and all of that, because if you miss, like if you put one space too much, if you put one space too much, it's going to it's going to ruin the whole thing, and you'll not be able to access it. This thing is very delicate. Even I myself, I make mistakes with this sometimes. Most of the times I just copy from like my recent projects and paste it. So this is going to be a hassle. So it's saying error line 6117. This is because of the indentation. I think there's a trick to handling this indentation properly. I don't know that because I don't stress myself. So what I'm going to do for this guy is I'll just go to my recent. Okay, I think I've closed all of my projects. I'll just go to one of my projects and copy the proper indentation and just paste it there. But then I think there's a guide to how you can use this thing, which is, let me try to like make it the same at the same level with this guys, which is touching this first line. So let's go Control Z, right? Then so the public YAML is very sensitive to indentation. It still does not fix this error. So I'm not going to be wasting time on this. Let me just copy from one of my projects. Open recent this application, new window. So let me just scroll down and just copy this guy. Okay, I can see the space instead of the copying. Okay, I think this is the proper spacing. Starts from the X. So hopefully this should clear the error. Let me restart and see. You can't because this thing is still having error. I mean, let me just copy. I think I will look for a trick on how to like properly understand how to fix this, how to work with this, edit this public YAML file, because it can be very stressful sometimes. I'm not using a dynamic font. I'm not using an environmental file here. I am not using a font. I'm just going to be using images. So assets slash the images folder slash. So you can leave it like this. Leaving it like this, what it does is, instead of you having to, let's say we have like 20 images now, you know it's going to be stressful to have to write all of the names of the images down here, which is going to be very stressful. Imagine you are typing images like with different name. But leaving it like this now gives you access to all of the images in that folder, which is the image folder. So we're just going to leave it like this. And this guy is still saying there's an error. What is the error with this guy? Let me go back to it's done properly now. Okay, so I'm just going to turn off my please, can anybody hear me? Signify if you can hear me. Reply, respond. Am I still on the call? Hello?
Can anybody hear me? I'm muted. Sorry, I was muted. So can you hear me? Can anybody hear me? Yeah. So working with this prospect of YAML is very, very tricky because it is very, very sensitive to indentation, and I'm not going to like up till now. What I just basically do is I copy from my old projects like the old to like the new project because I have a lot of things to think of instead of thinking of how to do proper indentation for this folder. But then I can maybe like send a link to an article for us to read and figure that one out ourselves. So you just after you add your image folder, you add it to your Postgres or YAML, then you save. If not, you'll not be able to use the folder in your, you will not be able to use the images in your project. So if there are two ways you can do, you can either add assets slash images, then write the name of every individual image like hospital1.jpg, but that is going to be like very tedious if you are having like, let's say you are working on a project that requires you to like add like 200 images. Would you be writing everything one by one? No, you can just like leave it like this. Now leaving it like this gives you access to all of the images in that image folder. So that's just that about that. So let's have our first image on the screen. So now working with images, we'll go to our screen, our onboarding page 1. Okay, this is hospital 1. Onboarding screen 1. So to work with image, you can just there's an image widget. So we can just call our image widget. So you can either have like a network image, that is adding images from the internet, where you just have to like input the image, the image link and all of that, or you have like your normal asset image, which is images in your file, or you have like a cached network image. So we are going to be using our assets image, which is already image in our file. So this accepts a string, which is going to be like the name and the directory of your image and the name of the image. So it's going to be, what's the directory of our images is assets slash images slash hospital 1. So let's do assets slash images slash, let's do hospital 1.jpg, hospital 1.jpg. Okay, I hope I get the name correctly. Hospital 1.jpg assets images. Let's Control S. Yep. So now we have our image here. So this is how you add image to your file. Now there are so many things you can do. You can maybe like make this fit the screen, you can make it fill. So to do that, you can just come into this your image widgets now. And indent it and say so fits. So this fits now helps you like do whatever you want to do on it, like make it fit to like the screen or like fill the screen or whatnot. So you can just do box fit dot fill will make it fill the whole screen, I guess. So let's reload. It's not reloading. Let's reload. Yep, it's not filling. So let's do box fits dot contain contain contains the image. I'm trying to mess around with this thing so that we can see so many other things we can do, but I guess this image is okay. Let's do fits height. I guess this image is not editable. The image is not wanting to edit because I customized the name. Oh, let me use a container instead. Let's say instead of a center, let's say like a container. So what is the error? Constructor for using a const. Okay, we're using a const again. So a const is going to be removing unnecessary connection now. So we can just so we have. So what was hindering it from resetting, like what was hindering it from making the changes I was doing, is because we were using a center widget, and I said a center widget will just always align the child of whatever child you are passing to it at the center. So that was what was hindering all of those things I was doing. So let's just do fill again. So box fill.fill will make the whole image. We'll make the image fill the whole thing. So let's restart. Still yet the image is not editing. Let me change this image to like hospital 2. Let's see what happens with hospital 2. Hospital 2, hospital 3. I guess it's the image I'm using or whatnot. So that is that about that. You can just maneuver and work with this thing. Get like a custom image. I downloaded these things randomly from the internet. So now let's just fix this and create our onboarding screen. So this guy is touching our what's it called? Dynamic island, which we don't want. So we can wrap this body in there's a widget we call safe area. So safe area will make whatever child you're passing into it not touch the notch of your screen or the dynamic island if you are working with what's it called, iOS. So we can just do safe area. So you see now it brought it down. This green squiggly line is basically telling us that we have to make the whole thing like make it a const modifier. But making your scaffold a const modifier, making its cost constant is not a good idea, because you'll not be able to make changes on this guy, which is make changes on this screen, because if you make dynamic changes it might not show because this guy is a constant and might be showing you error. So this is our onboarding screen 1. So let's create like a text widget under this. We can just wrap this guy in a column. So this column now allows us to stack so many widgets. It takes children, so that means we can have multiple widgets in it. So this guy, we can just make this guy constant to remove this, since it's basically not even changing. So let's say let's add a text widget here. Now we have data. Let's say welcome to GDSC CMA. Welcome to GDSC TMA, which is GDSC Tax Manager. So this thing is not looking good like this. Let's make it look better. So you know how to style already. I showed us. So to be able to style your text, you write style, then text style. So text style gives you the ability to be able to style your text anyhow you like. So let's increase the size and width of this guy, which is going to be font size. Allows you to set the size of your widget. So let's say font size dot. Let's use 28. So 28 is okay, it's good enough. Or let's use 25, then we increase the boldness. 25, then we increase the width, so font width. So we say font width dot, we don't want normal because normal is the default, so we can just say font width dot W500. For W100, it's still like W500. So this is good enough. This is not too thick. This is not too thick. We don't want this guy to be at the center here, so we can just make it come by the side. So in order to do that, we can just, since we are using a column, we can just ask our column to align all of its children by the stats. So we can just do main axis alignment, main axis alignment, main axis alignment. I thought of this, I think, last on our last week's class. So main axis alignment dot start. So this will align the child from, oh no, from the top is going to be, let's see, it's not main axis alignment, it's cross axis alignment. So it's not main axis alignment. So main axis alignment will not work. So cross axis alignment it is. Cross axis alignment. So cross axis alignment dot start. So it aligns the child now, all of his children from the left to right. Okay, we are looking good. So now let's make our image look better. Now it's not looking good like this. And first of, this guy is even touching this guy. We can give it a spacing. So we can use a size box. So a size box is basically, I talked about size box in our last class. A size box is basically an empty space, like used to give like an empty space. So right now we want a size of, we want a little height between the image and the welcome text. So let's use height. So height will add the space from the top to the bottom. Width will add the space from right to left to right, all those kind of things. So let's give it like 50. Let's give it, yeah. So we have a height 50. Height 50 is looking too much. So let's do like height 30. Yeah, so this is good. And our image is not looking good. We can decorate our image. So in order to be able to decorate where our image is staying, we just wrap it with a container. So you know how to wrap. I already taught us how to wrap. You hover upon the image you want to use. Then when you see this light bulb something, you come here and then search for, if the widget is available, you just use it. In this case, container is available because we want to use a container, and it's showing us an error because we would have to like modify the container, and we already set this guy to constant, which is meaning that it cannot change at any point in time. But then that's the lie, we are going to be changing it now. So you remove the constant and not make the container, don't even make the container constant, because we're making changes to the container. So we wrap it now with a container, and this is our container now. We can now give it a height. So let's give it a height of, let's say, 50. Now our image will change because we have already given it a height. So this is the height of 50 because we are wrapping it in a container. A height of 50 is just too small. So let's say like 20 or 200 or 200. Let's see what happens. 200 is 200, okay. But then to be sure that we are getting the image in its full size, we can just do box fit dot cover. So this will make the image fit to the cover of the container. Alright, so we are getting the proper height of the image in the container. So now we can add a bit to it. You know what height is, you know what width is now. So we can just say, let's give it a width of like 500. Let's say width 500. I'm doing all these changes, like making several changes so that you can see how you can maneuver yours as well and work around it. So you see with 500 now makes this whole thing enlarge and all, but then we don't want something like this because that was what we were at before. So let's make it more dynamic. Let's make it have like curved edges and all of that. So in order to do that, we can just do decoration. Then now we do like passing our box decoration. So now this box decoration, if we save, we are going to be having an error because it accepts a decoration image, which we are already passing an image to the container. So we would have to move this image now inside this place. That is if we want to do it like normal conversion. So we just say decoration image, image, then decoration image, then decoration image is expecting an image as well. Then we can just copy this our guy, cut it from here and just paste it here, and we should be good to go. Except we are having an error. What is the error saying? The type image cannot be assigned to the type image provider. So what is the image type of image provider it is expecting? Okay, asset image. Sorry, I'm putting the whole image instead of like the provider, the image provider, which is supposed to be just the asset image, which is just this guy. Don't worry, even if you are getting confused, you can always rewatch the video, then you will understand better. So we can take away our child and have just the container now. I made a mistake. Ctrl Z, Z. Yes, just Ctrl S. Yep. Now this is what we have, and our image is now fitting. So we can now pass in that fit that we are doing. We can pass it inside of this place and say, does it take fit? You just can come and check whatever it is it's taking. Yes, it takes fit. So we can just say Control Z takes in fits. So you can just do like box fits dots hover. So this will make our image fit our container's height and width. Now we want to make more dynamic changes. Let's say we want to make this thing have curved edges, so we can just say we give it a border radius. Okay, I'm still inside of my decoration image, so box decoration. So we say border radius, so we can just say border radius dots off. So this border radius now helps you to design and customize the radius of your container. So now we are making our border radius. We are making, that means the border of this container, we want to make it circular. So we can just give it like, so we do border radius of circular. So let's say like 20, and yep, you see that it makes our image now dynamic. So but this our image, the height is just too small, so we can just do like increase the height to like 500 as well. Let's see what will happen. Yep, we are having a better image, but 500 is 500 not too much. Let's do like 400. I'm making all these dynamic changes so that we can see and know how to make our changes when we are working with our own app. Now this guy is touching this place too much, like it's too close to the beginning. What's the time? 5:30. It's too close to the beginning, so we can just make this guy come. So in order to be able to like make this guy move to the right a little bit, we can either choose to wrap it with a padding. I'm iterating over most of the things Kausara did for us last week, so we can either wrap this guy with a padding or wrap it with a sized box. But then the proper convention is by wrapping it with a padding. We all know how to wrap our widget, so you come, click on the widgets, hover upon it, come on to the light bulb, then wrap it with a padding. So a padding allows you to add space around your widget. So by default, the padding adds the space like all around, like top, bottom, right, left. But then we want to add the padding to the left alone, which is bringing this guy a little bit to the center or to the right. So we'll remove this edge insert dot all and say edge insert dot only. Now edge insert dot only allows us to set the place where we want to add our size. So we only want to add the size by the space by the left. So we say what? Left. So we say 8.0 and save. You see this guy has moved a little to the left, and I think that should be okay. But then let's use 10. Yeah, 10 is okay. Now let's change the color of our text, because I say we'll be using white and blue from like as our theme. So let's do color. So we say colors of what's colors dot blue. Oh, is this blue good enough? Let's say this is good enough. This is good enough. This is good enough. Let's do blue 500 and see what happens. Is this having a constant modifier? Yep, it's having a constant modifier. I want to get which cause that error. But let's use blue as shade of blue dot shade of 500 and see. I think this is better. So now GDSC CMA, then we can make this guy constant as well, since we're making any change. We can have like an extra text that helps us handle like an info we want to tell the person that is using our app. So let's have like another text below. So let's have a text with it to prevent me from having to write text again, from the having to write all of this thing and having to add the spacing. We already know how we did that, so I'll just copy and paste it here. Then but then this time around our text is not going to be having a width of like 500 and it's not going to be having blue color. We are going to be leaving it as black. Then can somebody generate like a random text for me that I can use? This app allows you to organize your tasks for the day. So I'm doing something very simple. I don't expect us to do what I am doing. I expect you to go and, with the knowledge you have now, make your app very, very dynamic. You get play around with everything you are learning so far. Design it the way you want. So let's use the default font size. Yep. So I'm just going to copy and paste all of these things and make it merge. Ctrl C, Ctrl V, Ctrl S, yep. V again, S, V again, S, V again, S. Yep. Now let's restart our app. And see what we have so far. So GDSC TMA, so we have our onboarding screen, and now let's have our button that takes us to like the next onboarding screen. So now to have our button, we'll be using a sized box to create a custom button with a custom size. So sized box, and let's give it a height of 50. When we save, we will not see anything because size box is just an empty space. But now size box also takes in a child. So now for the child, we can now give our child what kind of buttons should we use? There are several buttons we can use in Flutter, but then let's use a text button. Let's use a text button. Sorry, something just popped up on my device. I needed to change that. So we can just use a text button. So our text button now expects. So what is the error? Why is it giving an error? The name parameter. Okay, it expects a child, and so we have to give it a child of what text, which is going to be the label of our button. Text. What's that on my phone? So we're going to call it what's next. So what is the other error? I think it's expecting something that we are yet to pass, which is the onPressed. Yes, onPressed function. Now we don't have, our error is no longer there. So now we have to like, our button is going to appear here. This is our text button. So now let's design this guy. First off, let's bring this guy to the, we are giving it a height of 50, right? We can't see the height because it's really not showing. But then let's make it dynamic. Let's design it so that we can see. Style. So we pass in the style for our button. So to pass in the style for our text button, we use the media query. That was a mistake. Media query dots of context dot style. Jesus, I'm using media query. That is a mistake. I'm not supposed to use media query. It's supposed to be text button. Text button dot style from. So it's supposed to be text button dot style from. Then we pass in what do we want to pass? We want to use color, right? So background color. Then let's say colors dot. Well, let's just continue with our blue. Colors dot blue. I would have loved to use Bala blue, but Bala blue is not here. Yep, now we have our button, and our next is not showing because the next is also white, so we can just use style, then we do text style. We change the color to like yep, colors dot white. Yeah, now test our next is showing, but then this button is not looking good enough. Let's increase the button by doing by adding a width to it. Let's increase the width of the button. So here is where we are supposed to use the media query. So media query allows you to get access the full properties of your screen, like at that particular point in time. So media query of context. Now we are going to be accessing the size media query of context dot size dot width now. So this will allow us access the screen size and the width. So now we are giving it, like, we are telling this guy now that make the width of this button the width of this screen, like check this screen, calculate the width and give it, assign it to this width parameter. So this is what we did here. So media query dot size dot width, so it takes in the width of the whole screen, and that is very, very ugly. But before that, let's space this guy out. So before we space this guy out, we just simply add another size box, comma. Let's give it a height of like 50 as well. Yep, so this guy is pretty down here. There are other complex ways we can do this, but I'm trying to go like as simple as possible to make us understand and catch up. So I'll be expecting us to recreate this, but then you're not going to, it's not going to be looking like this. Do something quite dynamic, like play around, see how the whole thing works and all of that. So let's this thing is not looking good like this, so we can do what again, we can wrap this guy with a padding that gives it space. So let's wrap it with a padding, which we are going to do. So instead of wrapping it with only left, now we are going to do padding. There's something we called symmetric. So padding.symmetrics allows you to choose how you want to add your padding, which is maybe like left to right, or top and bottom, which is horizontal or vertical. So we are going with vertical. Cool. So vertical now allows you to add space from to its child from like on the vertical axis, which is like the left and the right axis. So if we save now, we see, oh, not vertical, horizontal axis, sorry, horizontal axis. So we see a space from like the left and the right. So our app is looking a little bit good. Now I'm not supposed to take a screenshot of that. So before I proceed, let me add a little space here, and no, not you. A little space here. Okay, this guy is at 90. Let's make it 100. Let's make it 120. Oh, so it's overflow. This basically, when you see something like this, so this is meaning that your button is showing, but then it is not on the screen. It is outside of the screen, so it is not responsive. You are outside of the screen. You have done something that is outside of the screen. So I think 120. Okay, I do 1,000 to 12,000 instead of 120. So it's supposed to be 120. So now it brings it back to the screen. So before we continue, because we are almost done, let me take questions. Any questions? Are you understanding? Do you have any confusion? Yeah, who's that? Whoever it is, go ahead, ask your question.
Hello, good evening.
Yeah, good evening.
Um, are we going to that this function? I don't even know what to call it. This unpressed this thing.
Yeah,
Is that where we are going to insert like the link to the next onboard?
page. Yes, yes, yes. I will do that for us. You will see it. But so far, you understand how we edited the image, like do the text and everything, right?
Yeah. Is it possible to change the text style like to another font style?
Yes, you can. You can change the text style to another font style. But then I don't think we have like let me check if there's like a default. Normally, if I want to work with fonts, right, I miss mostly I use like Google Fonts. Then you have to there's a package you have to install the Google Fonts package. I think Kausara showed us
Okay.
how to do that last week. So you install the Google Fonts package, then you can get access to changing the font style. But then since you asked, you guys can go and work that out, like make your app very dynamic. So you can be sending screenshots on the chat, on the group chat, so that we can see the creations you are doing. So you don't have to build exactly what I'm doing, but then the video will be on. So in case you miss any step or you have any error.
All right.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Next person, I think it's almost time. So I want to move to the next page and then we can conclude this session. Next person.
Yeah, another media, good evening. Another media query code I used
Yeah.
to set the width for the button.
Yeah.
Can we also use it for the image?
Yes.
Instead of putting width border videos, can we just like put it for the image?
Yes, that is very smart. So what this media query does for you is, let's say we have an image now, and you input your image, but then your image, you know how this our own is cutting now, it's cutting from here to here. But then you see that that time I tried to make it feel, it did not feel. I tried to make it full, like it did not work. I don't know why. But then you want this thing to feel, so you can just use like you can use media query. You see media query dot of context. So you see media query dot of this particular screen you are at now. So help me calculate the height. Let's say you want to use the height now. Let's say we want this button to fill. So we'll just, right now we are using the width, right? So we say, what do I want to access in this particular screen? There's so many things you can do. You can access so many other things. You can see like device pixel ratio. You can, this is basically, media query is basically used to handle responsiveness, text scale, bold text, all these things. But we choose to use what we choose to access the size, and which of the particular size we want to access. We want to access the height. So if I do height now, it's going to calculate the height of this thing and max it up. But then it's not working because I guess it's going to return an error and it's going to break the whole thing, the whole code. Okay, it's not working because I already set the default height of this, the size box that this guy is in. I already set the default height to be what, to be 50. That's why it is not working. Let me see if I remove this size box, if it is going to work. Let's use this guy to remove this widget. Okay, it is still not working. That one is because of we are using a text button. If we are using like a dynamic button, we created our own button, it's going to be working. But that's just that about that. That's just about media query. So use media query to access the properties of the screen. So you can access properties like size. You can access properties like pixels. What's it called? Device pixel ratio, and all of that. There are so many features you can access. Orientation. You can use it to access the orientation, like when the screen is on vertical or when it has been rotated. Do this, do that. Any other questions? Do anybody have confusion in any of this screen or any of how we got here? Yeah. What's the question?
My question is, I'm having some difficulty like knowing which widget to use at what point in time.
Okay, it is very, very simple. You know that you want an image. What do you use? An image widget. You know you want a text. What do you use? A text widget. You know you want a button. What do you use? This button now is a default text button I use. Is a default text button that Flutter provides for us. That is what we are using here. But then we can choose to use
This
uh,
the radius. How did you add that roundness to the image?
okay, the image. Now we wrapped our image with a container, which is this here. So you see, yes, then the container widget now is like a, just basically a container, but then it gives you access to be able to modify it. So if you want to modify your container and make it look anyhow you want it to look now, you now have to do what? You pass in a decoration to the decoration parameter. So now in your decoration parameter, you have to pass in what? A box decoration, and then you pass in whatever you want to do. So in our box decoration, we passed in an image, right? First of all, and we say the image should fit the container, should fit the cover of the container, which it did. Then we now say we want this container to
Fit
have
the cover how?
to fit the cover, which is fits the height and the width. That is what this does.
Okay, of the container.
Yeah, of the container.
How is it different from fill?
Fill will like basically fill everything, but then if you are using a container, it's just advised to use like fit cover so that it fits the cover, and or instead of filling now might maybe like fill it and you have edges and you have some places that are cut or some places that are mixed, that are missing. Do you get? Maybe like this girl, her body will be missing, or this lady's body will be missing, one of those. But then when you do fit cover, it just fits the cover of the, like the image fits the cover, like the container, it fits the container both height and width. Then now on how we added the border radius, this is how we added the border radius. So you just the decoration takes the box decoration takes in a parameter which is border radius. Then this border radius now you can choose to say you don't want to add the radius, you don't want to add the curve to like the four sides. You can choose to say border radius dots only. Now this only will allow you add the border radius to like maybe the right or like the left or like maybe top and bottom and all those kind of things. So let me just do like a quick display for us to see. So so if you want to use a widget and maybe like because you obviously cannot cram everything it does, you've forgotten what the widget accepts and what it does, so you can just click on the widget now and then hover upon it. It will show you like an example of how you can do it. So you can see now I'm getting an example of how I can do what I am about to do.
I'm trying to use border radius, giving me an error.
Don't worry, you can take a screenshot and send it to the group. So we are going to do we want to add like top left and top right, so we can say radius
Evaluation of this constant expression through an exception.
Yeah, you are using a constant somewhere where you're not supposed to use a constant. So it's telling you that you're using,
I see.
Yeah, so remove the constant.
It's my box decoration.
Yes. So okay, the only, so we do what's top left. So let's do top left. So let's do radius the circular, right? So we do radius that's circular. So let's say like 50 now. Then we see. So we are seeing that the radius is only added to the top left of our container. The rest are not having the radius anymore. So this is how you work with dynamic radius and all of that with a container when you're designing a container, when you are refactoring a container. So I'm just going to take it back to how it was before. Yep. So we are back to normal. So that is that about that. So let's finish up this place. So let's navigate from like this screen to the other screen. So we will have to pass. Is somebody asking a question?
Yes.
What's your question?
No. At the beginning, when you did the cursor registration, use that something that you updated somewhere else.
Yeah.
Was it Android Studio that did that for you, or you different thing?
When I updated what?
You know, when you created an account using that cursor at gmail.com password at the beginning of the session, then you updated somewhere else.
Yes. That's Firebase. We just connected our app with Firebase. Like we are using Firebase as the backend, so our users can, when they sign up, all of their data will be on Firebase. So it's just we are going to do it for this particular app as well. So you see how it works. So to save time, let me just quickly. So in order to be able to navigate to like the other screen, so we'll use our navigator widget again. So navigator dot push. This time around, we can maybe want to come back to the first screen. So we're passing our context, we're passing our material route. So material page route accepts a builder. So we're passing our build context. Cool. yes, you pass in our context, then we pass in our next image. So you pass in your context, then we pass in our next page, which is going to be like our third page. So our next page should be what? Our onboarding 2. So onboarding page 2 instead of onboarding page 1, onboarding page 2, then we import onboarding page 2. Import this should import onboarding page 2. So we click on this, Ctrl S to save, then we can add this a constant, make this a constant. So now pay attention, when I click, it should take us to, okay, I think I have to like how to reload or how to start. Let me just do that. Yep, so the app should restart anytime from now. So it takes us to this, and yep, you see, so it takes us to our second onboarding page. So we can go back to our first onboarding page, we can go back to our second onboarding page, first onboarding page. So now let's create the second onboarding page. So to ease and to save time and to save energy and all of that, I will just copy everything that has happened in the first page, which is going to be from the body, the save area. I'll just copy everything and I'll go and post it on the second page. I'm going to the image, second screen, which is going to be from body. We do Ctrl Z. So we do replace it with this guy. Yep. So what is the error? Are we having error? Let me Z and C. Let me just copy the whole. Okay, I know why we are having the error. Does anybody know why we had that error? Anybody that know why we had this error? I am going to recharge you. Eh?
Because there is a const on the return.
Who is the person that's answered it?
It's got to have a const on the scaffold.
Who is the first person that answered? DM me. Mubarak, please pay attention to the first person that answered. I'm owing you 1,000 naira.
I did.
So we change our onboarding to onboarding 3. Then we can change the image. We can import onboarding 3. Then so that we have difference in what we are seeing. So let's change the image. There's our image. So we had hospital 2. Let's do hospital 2 here. So let's restart our app. The person that answered that question, please, Mubarak, I don't know if you know the person. Pay attention so that I don't go and give the points to the wrong person.
I don't know if they answered the question or they about to answer the question.
The person answered the question. I don't know who answered. If you're the one that answered, message Mubarak so that Mubarak can refer you to me so that you can collect your money. So this is it here, guys. So you see, today we are able to achieve our first onboarding screen and our second onboarding screen. So do we understand, guys?
I have one question.
What's your question?
Yes, both.
You did not use the save area widget because while I was doing mine, I used I noticed that my image now went out of the screen. So
Yeah.
I used the save area widget.
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask, like, what is right? Should I wrap my scaffold in a save area widget, or is it what the body of my scaffold that will be wrapped with a save area widget?
Is the body of your if you wrap the body of your scaffold with a safe area widget, what you are just basically saying is there is no way anything in that scaffold will touch your notch or your dynamic island or the top of your screen. Do you get? Everything you are doing now happens in the body. Do you get? So if you wrap the body in a safe area widget, there's no how it can exit. But if you come and say you have your body already, then you have another widget, then you now wrap that widget. Let's say you now wrap this guy in a safe area. That means this guy will not exceed. This guy alone will be the guy that will not exceed this thing. But then you can maybe like have another thing that can come and touch your notch. So it's advised to just wrap the body from the beginning with a safe area.
Okay, like that center widget should be wrapped.
Yes, there is no need to use a center widget itself, because if you use a center widget, what you are going to be having will be at the center. So your UI will be having issues. 3 minutes to 6. So we have
Okay, but is it okay to wrap the scaffold in a safe area widget?
no, don't wrap your scaffold. No, don't wrap it. If you wrap your scaffold in a safe area widget, you will have like, you see that this place is, the white is from the top to the bottom. So your white will be like from here. The remaining thing will be black. Don't wrap your scaffold, wrap your body.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. So now we have our first screen, our second onboarding screen, and our third onboarding screen. But then our third onboarding screen does not have any property. So let's still copy and do what? Paste. Control V. So now we are supposed to have that error again. Then you remove your constants from it. Then we change what? We change the image. We have used hospital 1, hospital 2. We have used hospital 3 too. Let's use hospital 1 this time around. And then, okay, we are supposed to navigate to the home screen. Cool? From our onboarding screen supposed to take us from the third screen to like what? The home page. So let me just quickly create an empty home page for us. Or let's not do anything. Let's just leave it. Maybe in our next class we'll be creating a home page. We're not even supposed to go to the home page. We're supposed to go to like the register page. So here we have it, guys. Let's restart the whole app, and please, if you don't understand or you have a question on how we did a particular thing, how we get to a particular place, please ask. So we have our splash screen, our first page, our second page, our third page. Yes, ask your question.
Thank you, sir. Please, like I said, I joined last week, sir, and I asked the lady I chatted with concerning an assignment. She said there's no assignment currently going on. Okay. Although I watched the video, yes. I'm Godwin.
Yeah. The thing is, the assignment submission link has been closed, but then you can do the assignments on your own will. It helps you improve It helps you improve with that, like helps you get better and get more familiar with the DAS programming language, because it is required to write Flutter. Do you get? But then you can no longer submit.
But it does not affect me on the long run, sir.
It depends. It depends on your attendance. Now, Mubarak, please, put attendance. So guys, check the attendance.
The attendance has been since we started to.
Okay. You can just paste it again for people that came late. So basically,
Sir, can we get the code?
Yes. Let me just do this now. So let me put it on the GitHub for you guys. Then I will send you the link so that you can copy it on GitHub. So share project on GitHub. So let me put it on my GitHub profile. Then you guys can run. I'll share the link for you guys to go and get it. So let me know.
So are you sending it on the group WhatsApp?
Yeah, I'm going to send it on the group. I'm going to send it on the group. Just
Hello, I want to ask.
Yeah, go ahead.
So are you sending it here on the WhatsApp group, sir?
On the WhatsApp group and on the announcement channel, I'm going to send it. So I'm going to add. For those of us that don't know how to use GitHub, I think after the bootcamp, myself, Mubarak, and Kausara will host a Git and GitHub session for us.
Can I create
Can you do what?
Can I create a GitHub repo from my terminal? Like a remote repo from terminal?
Yes, you can.
How do I do that?
That one is going to be after this class. Don't worry.
Okay.
I want to take questions regarding this class. Guys, you have questions, please. I know that not everybody will understand this thing. Please don't be shy. Ask your question. Did you know how we get here? Yeah, I'm here. I can hear you.
Okay. The image stuff that we did, is it possible to do it like a gallery, like a scrolling something, instead of the next button?
Okay, like a scrolling. I was supposed to do that, but above. that would really confuse you because we'll start using there's a package called I'm trying to remember. I'm trying to remember the name of this package. Oh,
I think
Mubarak.
Get
Mubarak,
Get
do you remember the name of the widget you can use to create an onboarding that you scroll from?
Single scrolling child.
Huh?
Hello.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Single scroll child now.
No, single scroll child allows you to put his child in a scroll widget also. Then when you scroll, you don't change the screen. You're only changing the particular viewport. I don't know if you understand. There's a widget we can use to do that. Maybe if I
do it.
Maybe if I after this slide I'll send us a link. I have it in one of my projects. I've just forgotten the name of the widget.
You can use a smooth page indicator.
Yes, smooth page indicator would help you show you, like, let's say we have that here, we are going to be having like 1, 2, 3 dots where you can see like, okay, this is the current index, this is the next index. So when you scroll, it goes to the next index.
You can be saying next.
Yes.
Okay.
I think we are all catching up with speed. So that is it about that. So that is going to be the end of today's session. We're just going to be taking questions now. So questions, guys. Let me end the recording.